My notes over here, I'm going to try to keep it to 15 or 20 minutes. So drop a hashtag live in the chat or a hashtag replay if you're joining on the replay. Let me know if I'm coming through, okay? 'Cause sometimes Facebook is a little sketchy, especially with my farm Wi-Fi. Through this through this live stream, feel free to drop any questions or comments that you have below. We're going to discuss after this session in my free Facebook group. So if you have questions, I'll go ahead and start a thread over there and answer them then. So if you're not a member of that group, just search Facebook for Wordy Mama for Freelance Copywriting Moms and request to join. So we'll let you in so that you can join the after live stream discussion. So today, I want to talk about something that every freelance copywriting mama experiences at some point or another, myself included. And honestly, every entrepreneur, anyone who is a service provider or business owner, no matter what size, is going to go through this from time to time. What is it? Imposter syndrome. So in this live stream, I'm going to go behind the scenes on what causes it and how to identify if this has you in its clutches and what you can stand to lose if you don't deal with it now. So speaking of dealing with it now, I'm also going to give you 2 strategies to ditching imposter syndrome, one of which has a unique side benefit that will impact your ability to land clients and get results for them in a good way. If you're not familiar with what imposter syndrome is, I'm going to give you some statements in a little bit that's going to help you self-identify whether or not this is something you're dealing with right now. But basically, imposter syndrome is a feeling that holds you back, makes you doubt your skills and your worth, and keeps you from putting yourself out there to land freelance copywriting clients. It's literally the worst, and it's definitely something you do not want to keep hanging around, okay? Imposter syndrome is that thing that whispers in your ear, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? Where do you even think this freelance copywriting thing is going to go? Ugh. Gross. Ugh. Right? Ugh. So how do you know if imposter syndrome is something that you're dealing with right now? Well, let me read off some statements, and if you can relate to any of them, drop a yes in the chat below. This is just going to help you kind of self-diagnose if imposter syndrome is something you're going through right now. So drop a yes in the chat if you feel like everyone else is more talented and has more experiences than you. Drop a yes in the chat if you wonder why anyone would want to hire you. Drop a yes in the chat if you find yourself continuing to learn and learn and learn, but you're not taking action because you don't think you're ready yet. Drop a yes in the chat if you get stressed out when you think about doing outreach or discovery calls because you're not sure what to say and you don't want to come off sounding like you don't know what you're doing. You live in fear of the moment that a client or someone else in the industry figures out that you don't really know what you're doing and exposes you. Is any of that relatable? If you can relate to any of those statements, then imposter syndrome might be a familiar non-friend to you, okay? Because it's not your friend. And I want to tell you right now that although the feelings that imposter syndrome brings out in you are real, imposter syndrome itself is made up of lies, absolute lies. Lies that you have a choice whether or not to believe. So in this live stream, I'm going to give you some strategies for putting imposter syndrome in its place. We're going to shut it down. But even more importantly, I'm going to help you figure out why you're dealing with it, what the root cause behind it is, and what you should be doing instead so you can kick it to the curb and put yourself out there to promote your freelance copywriting services with confidence. Because here's the thing, confidence is contagious. Right? Have you ever been in a room with someone that just oozes confidence? Maybe it's a professional athlete or a speaker and they just have this glow about them. And when they start to speak or they start to do their thing, it's magnetic. You just want to spend more time around it. They believe they can, so they act like they can, and everyone else believes it too. Now, imagine Michael Jordan back in 1995 at the height of his career with the Chicago Bulls, walking out to center stage for the jump ball, okay? He would just stride right up to the line with his head held high, and his game face on. And as he and the other team member would crouch down face to face to get ready for the whistle, 100% of his focus was on that ball. And when the whistle blew, he would explode into the air. That's confidence. He knew what he was doing and he was focused on it. Now, let's imagine a different Michael Jordan. What if instead, all the way on his walk to center court, he just stared at his feet and he wrung his hands together, and you could kind of overhear him muttering, gosh, I hope I'm a good basketball player. I hope I don't mess up. Hope I don't let anybody down. So that doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence, does it? Which Michael Jordan would you want playing on your team? Now, I'm not a super sports fan, yay sports, but I don't even know if Michael Jordan actually did the jump ball thing back in the day, but the illustration proves the point. Confidence is contagious, and when you show up for yourself and promote your services with confidence, your ideal clients won't be able to help but catch the vision. They'll want to automatically have confidence in you too. Now, I know what you're thinking right now, but Krista, it's not like I can just go to the store and buy confidence. It'll be $19.99 for confidence. A little confidence, please. How am I supposed to be confident if I don't feel confident? I get it. That's a valid concern. I'm not one of those super strong believers in the old fake it till you make it mentality, probably because I'm in an Enneagram too. I wear my emotions on my sleeve and I don't fake anything very well. And honestly, I don't believe in fake. Authentic is always better. So I'm going to give you 2 authentic strategies today to help you grow and build that confidence without having to fake it till you make it. All right, let me grab my... Okay. The first strategy is borrowing someone else's belief. So we've all borrowed something from someone at some point in our lives. Somewhere along the line, somebody lent us what we needed to fill in the gaps until we could get our own thing, until we didn't need it anymore. Maybe it was a prom dress, or maybe it was a crock pot. So we're super familiar with the concept of borrowing physical items. But did you know that you can borrow belief too? Let me tell you a story about the first time I realized how powerful this concept is. So when I first got into building an online business, I went about it all wrong. Like I can't help but being honest. I did everything wrong. Like I made so many mistakes. I offered way too many services for one person. And I don't mean just different types of copywriting projects, because I was barely writing copy at that point. This was the really early stages. But I was doing all things social media and I hated it. I was really burned out. I wasn't getting great results for clients because I had too much on my plate and I didn't enjoy any of it. And I felt like a big fat failure. Wah, wah. Anybody else ever been there? Hello, big fat failure, party of one. At that time, I'd been a member of a coaching program for social media managers for a few months, and I was fumbling along. It seemed like all the other members of the coaching program were flying. They were soaring. They were out there making money and landing clients, and they looked happy, and they were getting results. And there I was in the corner, like, wah, wah, just plain sucking at, like, everything. That's what it felt like. And one night, I got really overwhelmed. I was so overwhelmed by it and so just exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking about how I couldn't seem to make this thing work, and I didn't feel like I belonged in this coaching program with all these successful people. I wasn't even sure I still wanted my own online business, and I decided that I just didn't fit in. So I sent a Voxer message to my coach, and I said, hey, I just don't think that I'm getting this to work for me. I feel like everything I do is a big flop. Everyone else is doing so awesome. I'm not even sure I'm responsible enough to have my own business. I don't know if I even want to be an entrepreneur anymore. You should probably just give my spot to someone else who's actually making this thing work. Now, mind you, it was 2:30 in the morning, and I fully did not expect her to even see that message until a decent hour, but she immediately Voxered me back, and what she said really surprised me, and it changed my life. She said, no, you won't. I won't give your spot to someone else, and I won't let you leave, because this is your spot and you belong here. You might be having trouble believing in yourself right now, but I'm not. I believe in you, and I know you can do this. And if you can't believe in yourself right now, borrow my belief. I was so amazed and humbled by that, because this woman was and still is a rock star. I knew she knew what she was doing, and I trusted that her advice was sound. I trusted it enough to invest $10,000 back when I didn't have $10,000 to invest, right? And if I gave up when she was willing to stand in the gap for me and give her belief to me when I didn't even believe in myself, then I was basically telling her that she was full of crap. But I knew she wasn't full of crap, or I would never have invested in her coaching program. I would have had to be lying to myself to turn my back on what she was offering, and I couldn't do that. So I took her at her word, and for the first time in my life, I understood what it really meant and how powerful it was to borrow someone else's belief. And you know what? It worked. I got really clear on exactly what services I wanted to offer, and I dove into becoming an expert in those things. And my entire business transformed. And when that happened, my confidence transformed. Now, we may not know each other personally yet, but if there's one thing I do know, it's that mamas are determined and smart and capable. And if you love to write and you're willing to follow what works and do the work to build a freelance copywriting business that attracts clients consistently and generates income month after month, then I know you can do this, right? Borrow my belief because I believe in you. Do you think you can do that? Drop a yes in the chat if you're willing to trust an expert who's been there and done that. You can do this. Now, I promised you 2 strategies, and the second one is going to seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it's absolutely the key to transforming your confidence and kicking that imposter syndrome to the curb. Just grab my notes here. Okay, remember those self-diagnosing statements I read at the beginning of this live stream where I said you might be dealing with imposter syndrome if, let's just go over them real quick, and I want you to listen closely, okay? If you feel like everyone else is more talented than you and has more experience than you do. If you wonder why anyone would want to hire you. If you find yourself continuing to learn and learn and learn, but you're not taking action because you just don't think you're ready yet. If you get stressed out when you think about doing outreach or discovery calls because you're not sure what to say and you don't want to come off sounding like you don't know what you're doing. And if you live in fear of the moment that a client or someone else in the industry figures out you don't really know what you're doing and exposes you, you might be dealing with imposter syndrome. So those are 5 simple statements, but did you notice something about those? In those 5 simple statements, there were 20 U's, Y-O-U, 20 times. What most freelance copywriting mamas don't understand is that imposter syndrome shifts the focus of everything in your business onto you, which is exactly the opposite of where the focus needs to be. Because when you feel unqualified and insecure and you wonder if you even know what you're doing, it's hard to think about anything but your shortcomings. And that's why imposter syndrome sucks the confidence right out of everything. Here's what nobody's telling you. We tend to spend a lot of time like, how do I get over this imposter syndrome? And what do I need to do to stop feeling like this? And how can I get more confident? But the more we focus on it, the more we put our time and attention into imposter syndrome, even if it's because we're just trying to get over it, the bigger it tends to grow. Does that make sense? So what should you do instead? Instead of feeding it, if you really want to become more confident and ditch imposter syndrome, you have to shift your focus. Stop focusing on you and focus on your ideal clients. Stop worrying about what you don't know and what you haven't done and how inexperienced you are, and start obsessing over the person you want to serve. When you're so focused on yourself, you lose sight of that person. And when you're dealing with people who are in pain and have a problem they need help with, they're not thinking about you, okay? They're thinking about themselves and their businesses and the problems that they have. Meet them there, okay? Meet them where they are with what they're thinking about. Because when you can come alongside them and do the best job of connecting with them and explaining what they're going through and helping them feel seen, heard, and understood, they will automatically believe that you offer the solution to their problem because you understand their pain. Take your focus off your pain and put it on theirs. Get really clear on who you help and how you can help them. Find out what problems they're dealing with and how they feel about those problems. Uncover where they're stuck and learn how to communicate that back to them as a way to create connection. And as you're doing that, you'll have less and less time to put your thoughts and energy towards your imposter syndrome. Your imposter syndrome will naturally shrink while your confidence grows. And that unique benefit I mentioned earlier, that goes with this strategy, okay? Because not only does this strategy help you ditch your imposter syndrome, doing the deep dive on your ideal clients helps you better relate and connect with them and can lead to more booked calls, better results with the copy you write, and more money in your bank account. And just know, if you're dealing with imposter syndrome. It's okay. It's completely normal. Okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody goes through it, even the biggest experts out there. But the good news is there are strategies you can use to deal with it. I've just given you two, and it does not have to run your life or your business. So thanks so much for joining me today. You guys have been awesome. And I'm going to do something super fun over the next couple of weeks. Okay. So I was thinking about how fun it would be to just open up discussions about what we're learning, like kind of like a book club where you read it and then you meet to discuss. Well, I want to have a little live stream club, and I'm going to hold it over in my Facebook group, Wordy Mama for Freelance Copywriting Moms. If you're not a member of the group yet, just put that in the search and find it, and then request to join, and we'll let you in. That's where we will open up a thread to go through what we talked about today. I'm going to take a few minutes and look through everything that you guys dropped in the comments here, and then I'll be headed over to the Facebook group to let in new members and start a post where we can just kind of break it all down. So look for a post inside the Facebook group in a few minutes here where we can start a thread where we talk about imposter syndrome, where we talk about where you're feeling stuck and chained back by the things that you believe about yourself. And we can help encourage and hold each other accountable and just dive deeper into this topic because, like I said, moms are amazing. And if you have the will to do something and the ability to learn and grow, and you find the right places and the right people to help guide you along the way, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Borrow my belief in you. Focus in on who you want to serve. And just get ready for that imposter syndrome to melt away. We'll see you in the Facebook group.